We are still at a stage where creating AI-generated characters and maintaining their consistency from one scene to another requires a certain level of complexity. We will introduce you to the technique that we believe is the most simple and effective and deliver the best results at the moment. However, be aware that other methods exist and new approaches are being developed every month. In this course, we will be using the Replicate platform extensively. There are many platforms that allow you to create characters while maintaining consistency, but the tools available with Replicate are highly effective, and we also appreciate its simple interface. Additionally, its pay-per-use pricing makes it easier to plan a budget. We will guide you through understanding how to use it efficiently. Next, we will create our two characters for our scene and generate some test images with them. So let's get started. So alright guys, today we're going to create two LoRa's. So the LoRa's are the digital AI characters. So we're going to show you how to do those. And here's what we'll be covering. So step one, we have to create a master image. So we have to create one highly realistic original image for each character. I'm going to show you how to do that. Step two, we're going to upscale the original image. Step 3, we're going to create some pauses, so produce several 10 by 24 by 10 by 24 images with varied poses, angles, and styles. And these will be necessary to create our what we call our data set for creating our LoRa's. And we can use an upscaler for high quality close-ups. I'm going to show you how to do that. Step 4 is going to be the image data set. So we're going to save each image with a sequential numerical file name in the designated folder, so like 1.png, 2.png, etc. Step 5 will be the caption, so we're going to generate AI captions for each image. It's going to be optional because in the creation of the LoRa you can do this automatically, but we like to have a little bit more of control over these captions. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So we can save a text file corresponding to each image, name accordingly. So if you have 1.png image, 2.png image, we can have 1.text and 2.txt images, text for each image. And we're going to have specific captions, like I said, you can add some shots, some specific things that the automatic caption cannot catch. And step 6 is going to be the final data set. So we're going to put all the images and text file that we have created into a zip archive. And the step 7 is the LoRa creation. So we're going to train the LoRa model using the generated data set. So we're going to take the zip file and use that to create the LoRa. And last step, going to test our LoRa to evaluate its performance. And if you want to see if it's okay to create, generate our images later. So yeah, a lot to cover. So let's start right now. Why are we using LoRa's? Well, I'm going to show you an example. It's from a really cool team that's called the Door Brothers. They're doing these funny videos with personalities and actors and politicians, and I'm pretty sure these were done with LoRa. And so I'm going to explain why it's easier to do this with all those characters, because all those characters are public figures and you can find multiple images of those public figures on the web. So you can train LoRa's with those pictures that you can find. You have to own the rights of the photos, but for creating the videos, if it's a funny video, if it's something like a satire, so I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't do this kind of stuff, but just to know, the technical part of it is like they probably created all those characters with LoRa's and trained them with a lot of pictures that they can find on the internet, and this is why it's pretty accurate. And this is how they also do the deepfakes when they want to create deepfakes. So yeah, so we're doing more ethical AI. So this means that we're going to create our own characters from the start. So starting from an original photo that we're going to create
in the AI. And this is why it's more difficult to do it this way, because we have to create also lots of pauses for this character because we only have one photo originally, so you're going to have to create more and more photos, and each of these photos have to be as realistic as possible, as close as possible as the original photo. So this is the challenge when you want to create a pure, original AI character. So let's dive in. The tool that we're going to use today is called Replicate. So there's a lot of platform out there that lets you create LoRa's, and that you create, like I said, add some character to use one photo and create videos. And there's a lot of you out there that can use more complicated workflows and tools like Comfy UI. We like Replicate because it's a simple interface. It's really good for beginners, and it's not really that expensive because you don't pay that by monthly, you only pay for the usage. So as an example, each photo that you will generate with some model, some flux model on Replicate costs around 3 cents each. And LoRa training, it's a little bit more costly. It can cost around $2, $3, $4 for each model train, but it's not that expensive, I think. I've created this PDF file that you can download at the bottom in the description. So it's going to, step by step, it's going to teach you how to create your Replicate account, because Replicate has, this complex way of logging in, because you have to use GitHub. So I've created this PDF to show you exactly how to do that, how to create your GitHub account from Replicate and how you can use it. And yeah, so some people are less techy and technical, and you can use this to understand a little bit more about how to create your account. So when you're there, it's gonna be this page. So you're going to go at this page, and I'm going to show you exactly where you can find each of those models. So Replicate is like they have all these models that you can use. So all the Flux family, you see it out there. So we use a lot of Flux family models, and these models are what we're going to use to create our images and to create our LoRa. So yeah. So let's start with the first step, master image. So we need to create a highly realistic original image for our character. So I'm going to show you what I already did, Lisa. So all those steps here are, what I did for Lisa. So here's the original photo that I've created for Lisa. And here is the upscale version. So I've created multiple upscales. So I created headshot, original master. I create the close-up, the extreme close-up, and the full body. Why? I'm going to show you later why we need those shots, because in the training of the LoRa, you need to have multiple pauses, but you can also, if you want to do close-ups in your shot, it's better to have example of what, of those shots that you're going to need to do. So basically, let me show you. Starting from the original, I created this close-up of Lisa, and this extreme close-up of Lisa, and also a full body shot of Lisa. And these will be used as image to train our LoRa. And on the step 3, I create all those pauses with Lisa. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Create all those images that will be used to train the model. And also, since our scene in our movie is going to be at night, I wanted to have, these kind of shots in the dark. So when you do a LoRa training, you have to think about that. You have to think in what kind of scenes that I'm going to use this character, and if you use it at night, you're going to have to put some shots of night lighting. It's going to be easier for the AI to know exactly what you want. And after the pauses, I created the data set, so all the files in a zip. I feed that to a caption that I'm going to show you. So I got a series of text file with all the example of captioning, and after that I did the final data set. So these are the final images with all the final text, that, and feed the LoRa, and after that I got my LoRa, which a LoRa is mainly a file like this. It's a file with the extension save tensors, and it's around 170 megabytes. So this is the final output that you need to do. So I'm going to show you how we did also our second character, Mark. So let's start with Mark. So by the way, I'm going to put the PDF with all these links and all these. If I use specific models for each step, I'm going to put these models into links, so you're going to be able to follow through with the PDF instruction file. So yes, this model is called FluxDAV Realism. It's one of the best models that we have found to create realistic photos. So yeah, a little bit about the prompt here. So I said I'd put some specific into parentheses because I'm not sure it's really working every time, but if you want to do emphasis on certain aspect, you can put these aspects into parentheses. So why did I put those ordinary drab plain looking and short length hair? Because those two elements are important. Why the ordinary drab plain looking? It's because usually when you produce images with those models, they're trained with a lot of movie stars and things like that, and most people are really like models, like real models in real life. So we want to dial down this aspect a little bit. So this is why I always put like ordinary drab plain looking, and specifically we really want to have a man with shortened hair, but because sometimes they can be all over the place with the hair length. And I said a realistic photo portrait of a 33-year-old man. So from our description in our script, this was the description, the age of the character. Brown eyes, brown hair, white background, Caucasian, no jewelry, serious, no makeup, black shirt. So pretty simple, to get this kind of image. And we generated a lot, maybe 20, 30 images. And I got to this guy and I said, well, this guy looks like the guy that would look like our character. Some other example that you can find here. So you see what I mean when I say they all look really pretty good. So even if I put that, they still look like, So if you want to have characters like more plain looking, it's a little bit more difficult with those models, but you can always try to put some things here in parentheses to dial down this kind of beauty aspect of those generated AI photos. So once you generate a photo, you can just right click and save this picture, or you can save this down here. The other settings that I put, so aspect ratio, I kept that 1:1 because in the end our training data set will be square, so I like to put it the square in that first and work always with those kind of photos. You have 4 output that you can use for this model at the time, and I put the number in inference steps at 35. I think the default it's like 25 or something like that, or 30. I put it in at 35. I don't play with the guidance or And the lower strand, I put it a little bit higher than the default. The default is 0.8. I put it at 0.9. And always I like my image at like PNGs files, so I don't like the WebP, so I just put PNG. And after that, you just click run and you will generate those files. So I took this file and I put it there. So this is, the kind of workflow folder that we want to make it easier. So you have each step, you create a folder for each step. I think it's simple to work this way. You can work whatever way you like. So I had my original photo here there, and this is the first one. All right, the second part is we need to upscale the original image, because I like to have a more, upscale version at first to work with. So you can do that in Replicate. So typo here. So if you put upscale there, you're going to have a collection, and you can find this upscale images. And the one we like is the Night Maria Real Ezergan. Not sure about the pronunciation of that, but we like this one. We tested a bunch of those, and we like this one. So basically, you just put your image there, so your original character image. You can scale it by a factor of 2, 3, or 4. I usually do a factor of 2 or 3. And after that, you just generate. Important thing, you don't put face enhance. Don't select that, because it will do some weird things to your face. So since our character is pretty good looking right now, we don't want to mess that up. So yeah, you just generate and run this character, and it will gonna give you this image. This is an example of a cat. So you have, some details. Much better in this version. So yeah, so what we did is we created our upscale. So we have the upscale version, and for this one I've used Topaz, because Topaz is a software that we use sometimes, and since there's a cost to this software, I know you can use the upscaler that we use, which on Replicate, which is pretty good also. By the way, when you're in Replicate, you can always see at the bottom the runtime and cost of each of those models. So basically, it gives you an idea. So for this model, it cost me 3.3 cents for each generation, and for this model, it costs like 5.6 cents for each image. So I think I was at $1 approximately. So it cost me about $8 US to create the mark character. So it gives you an idea for the LoRa training and all the images you generate. It's going to be around $8 to do that. So yeah, like I said, you can use other platforms to do that, but I think Replicate is really, really nice to do all those steps, because they have all those tools already there, and it's not that expensive. So also did some close-ups. So basically, once you have this upscale image, you can just crop it into Photoshop or any other software. You can just crop it to have a more close-up picture. You can do an extreme close-up. So I did an extreme close-up on his face also. It's going to be used in our dataset, and also a full body. So the full body, it's a little bit more tricky. So I'm going to show you how to do this, because we have our face there and it's really good right now, but you have to I like to put a body to have full body shot of our character. It's useful because the dataset, if you only have the headshot, he's not going to know exactly how you want your character to be looking full body. So this is in the upscale part that I've put there. So I've put the full body there, and this is what I'm going to show you right now. So what I did, I used Photoshop. I've put my image there. So you see it's just creating a canvas that it's like much larger. By the way, I'm going to put this Photoshop file, and I'm going to put the PNG file that you can use, and you can also use for yourself. It gives you an idea. So I've put the face there, and the second part that we're going to save this file as a PNG. And after that, I did a square exactly where his face was, a black square. This is going to be our cache for using the flux fill model. I'm going to show you that how it works. So you need to create two photos. So this one and this one. So here it is, the first one, and the second one, here it is. So this is the kind of photo that we want to achieve. So have a full body version of our character. So let's go back to replicate. And yeah. So you have to prompt something. So I did the basic prompting, a man alone. You have to put alone because sometimes if you put a lot of space, they're going to like to fill it with other characters. So a man alone, standing, white background with black t-shirt and blue jeans. So, the basics. And I've put the photos, the first photo that I did with this the face of our character and all the white space around it. And the second photo that you have to put is the caching. So the exact same width and length file with, the black part where we had our face. And that's it. I just put 4 outputs, and sometimes I like to put the inference at 35, but you can do it by default at 28. And didn't change anything else except the output format. I like always to be in PNG. And that's it. You click run and you get those results. So you can always download all your results, or you can just right click on a specific image that you like. So this is how we created our full body image of a character. So we're still in the upscale because I put that in the upscale, so to have our full body. And now we're going to do the pauses. So what did we use for pause? It's called consistent character from the team FOFR. So as always, I'm going to put this link into the file, the PDF instruction files. So you're going to go there. You're going to put your original image upscale. So the first upscale you did. So our character upscaled. And I just put, a simple prompt, a photo of a man. No negative prompt here. Just put the photo of our subject. And I don't think I did anything else. I do 20 number of outputs to generate for each time. So each time it will generate 20 photos. I just like you can put more pauses for each image. So I just put one. So this will mean that it will generate 20 photos. I like to do random pauses, and output format always PNG, and that's it. So what it creates, it creates a lot of images. Like sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But if you click on play here, you're going to see a lot of them. So what I do is I put all those images. I download the file here. I click on download and download it on my computer. And if we go to step 3, you're going to see all those images. And I created a folder called deleted. This is where I put the characters that I didn't like. So I probably generated around 40 or 60 images in this model. And after that, I'm going to show you the deleted one because show you the details that we don't like. So sometimes weird things happen, like always in AI. So this hand is not good. And this kind of neck Not sure what kind of shirt there it is, but it's not good. I don't like my characters don't have to be naked, so don't didn't put there. Sometimes you have to look at the eyes. This one was not so bad, but I didn't like the outfit, so I deleted it. So like the eyes are not accurate. So problem will be you have to check the eyes, the hands, and things like that. So this one, obviously the hand is a problem, and the eyes also is a problem. So we have to pick and choose what are the best images that you find. But model still makes it pretty good. You know, you lose a generation when you do that, but it's not that bad. You know, it's not that problematic. You know, the skin still looks pretty good. So I didn't like, I think, the eye on this image, and this always also the eyes look weird. So lots of images that I've deleted, and so these are the final selection that I will keep for. I think they're pretty good. You know, always try to look for the character to look exactly like your first image. Always compare it to your original image. You don't want to have a character that doesn't look like or looks like a cousin or something like that. So mostly you want to have your character to look as close as possible as your original image. What we need because we want to do scenes, like I said before, at night in a car. So I wanted to have dark car references. So for this, we're going to do another technique that's called face swap. So I'm going to show you the model. All right, so it's this one. It's called from Code Plug Tech. It's called face swap. The link is going to be an instruction file in PDF. So what I did is I created a lot of, I got back to the first model that we used, so the replicate model for dev realism, and I've created pictures of, I prompted a man in a car at night. So basically I wanted to have those first reference, and I want to check exactly what kind of, so this is the example that I did. So let's see the prompt. So very low light, front shot photo, a 33-year-old man, Caucasian, medium length hair, scruff, stubble beard, medium, and inside a dark car, driver's seats, driving in the city at night, high shadows. So I had some problem with the beard because it's like much more, I think our character's first image did not have a full body beard. But I tried to make the best of it and try to get some characters that. So what I'm looking for here is scenes like I would like to see my final scene, with the lighting and everything to be as close as possible as what I would like in my scene. So I would like to create a reference, an image with these kind of lighting, but with my face of my character, of course. So I've saved a bunch of those photos. And okay, well, when I work on multiple steps in this, I always use 3 folders. One folder is called in, the other folder is called out, the other folder is called work when I need to do more work on this step. So in the in folder, I've put everything that I've created in Flux Realism, so all the images I just shown you. And the out is the final result with my character face. So these are the final result. These are so they're not perfect, but I think they're close enough to create some good images for our LoRa. So how do we do the face swap, the actual face swap? So I'm going to show you here. Pretty simple. So like I said, it's a model called Code Plug Tech from Face Swap. And you just put your original image there and just put your reference face. and that's it. You just click run and you will generate one image of that. And maybe you have to generate a couple of ones before getting into the exact image you want. And this is where I did that for all those initial images, and these are my images that I've created with this step. So like I said, it's to create, if you want your scene, if you know your character will be used in specific scenes, say your character will be walking along a beach at sunset, you definitely would like to have those kind of lighting, references with your character in your data set. So I would try to do exactly the same technique. Instead of prompting for a man in a car at night, I would prompt a man walking on the beach at sunset, and after that I will do this face swap to have those characters. So let's go back to where we are. So yeah, we could upscale some of those, this is at your discretion. In the end, all the images for our data set will be 1024 by 1024. So I would use square, like I said, square images, but the upscale, it's like I use it to make the images feel more natural. So even if you downscale them at the end at 1024 by 1024, sometimes it's good to upscale them before to get back those characters, those details, and after that you can downscale them and they're going to be better looking even if it's downscaled. So why 1024 by 1024? It's just because the LoRa training use 512 by 512 or 1024 by 1024. It's just, even if you don't put images like that, they're going to crop them. So you need to make them make them yourself 1024 by 1024. This is where we're going to do step. So we're there, we did that. So this is an example of a caption. So I'm going to show you before that our folder sequence. So we have our pauses, everything. So in the data set, we'll go all these images. We're going to put the dark car reference in the face swap. So I'm going to put all those images also. We'll also be putting all the upscale that I did. So my original image there that I have upscaled. I will put all my close-ups there. So all these images will be part of my final data set. And so I've put all my images there. And so, like I said, the first image, the close-up version, the full body. Yeah, I forgot to tell you about the full body. So I'm going to pull the full body there, and all the images from the consistent character pause that I put there also, and it's also the dark images that we did. And I'm going to show you how to do it easily, because we really want to have all our pictures to be 1024 by 1024. I'm going to show you in Photoshop, but you can use any software, any image editing software used to Photoshop. So basically this is what I use. So once I create a new file in Photoshop, so I do file new and say 1024 by 1024, and after that I just take all my images. I will take all those images and I would just drag them into this, just like this. So, and each time it had if it's square image, there's no problem, but each time you can do you can place the images. If you don't like the way they look, you can always rescale them, and just to make sure at the end that you have something in 1024 by 1024. So I'm going to cancel this because I already done it, but yeah. All right, so the other step that I'm going to do here, because I did it before, I think. Yeah, so all these images, if you remember, were all having different names. All right, so when I put them into my dataset, I just change the name, and it's not, you don't have any order specifically. You can put I just put my original image 1.png and the other one 2, 3, 4, etc. So no specific order necessary, but it's not. You have to have all the image renamed in a simple number, because you're gonna have to match it with the caption. It's more easy to do it like this. So I put 1, 2, like I have 49 images. So once I've put them in Photoshop, the one trick is to just select them all, and don't select the background, and you can, little trick here, you can quick export as PNG. So if you do this in the layer tab and select all your images, you can do a quick export as PNG, and they will all be exported with the correct width and height. You don't have to do a file export and do each file separately. So it's gonna be much more faster to do it this way. But if you use another software, try to find a way to do this more easily. So yeah, we have all these images in our data set, and I like to do a step where I'm gonna put all these images that are 1024 by 1024. So these are the images that I exported just now. And also we're gonna do the caption part. So I'm gonna do one step ahead into the training model. So once we're going to have all our data, we're going to use this model. I'm going to show you a little bit later. But so what this training model asks is, of course, your data set in the zip file, but it also have the option to do an auto caption. So doing your own caption is an optional part of this flow. I'm going to tell you why. We're going to do it a little bit by hand, but it's optional. If you click on auto caption, you don't have to do this step, so it's going to save you some time. All right, so captioning is when it's done automatically. It's just take every one of your photos and it just pass it through this model called LoRa, and it create a caption file with some text about your image. So basically, if you do an auto caption, you don't have to worry about this step. The way I do it is to first create the captions of my images on my computer. After that way I can edit them and add some specific for each image. So mostly I will do it for the close-up. So close-up and extreme close-up images, I will add some text there to specifically do that. Body shot also, I can add some text specifically for that. The other image, I don't worry about them, and those specific image at night. So when I'm gonna ask my model to generate some specific image, I want to have some trigger words and having them in the caption will help me to generate a more accurate. So the model is gonna know, oh, you're talking about a dark interior car at night, so it's gonna know exactly where are these references. So this is why I do this. So there's two ways to do this. So I'm going to show you this. Yeah, this model. So this model from Luca Taco, it's called Moondream 2. We tried a lot of caption models, and this one is pretty good. So you're going to put each of your image in there. So you're going to put one image at a time, and you don't need to describe anything, but you're going to just run. What you're going to have is this text description, and you're going to take this description and save it as the same name as the file. So basically you're going to have 49 times this step to do. So you're going to do a text file called 1.txt, and you're going to paste this exactly in the image. And after that, you will have the possibility of adding the text that you want. And these are the examples. So to see what it looks like. So a portrait photo shows a man with wavy, medium length brown hair and a subtle beard. He's wearing a black shirt. You know, a subtle beard, I didn't think about that, so I should have used that when I generate earlier my characters in the dark in the car. So yeah, maybe sometimes you can do this before to try to get exactly the same kind of character that you want. And so I could have take this description and put it back and add the car reference at night, and I maybe I would have better result there. So yeah, so this is the file, and it's a long process, of course, but like I said, it's not necessary, but I think you will have more control over a certain aspect of your LoRa in the end, at the end. One thing you can do is you can find, there's another model called from FOFR, which is a good team. It's called batch image captioning. And this model is, it gives you the possibility to create a zip archive and put all your images so my images from 1 PNG to 49, and put that into a zip file. And I just upload it there. And after that, you can do resize image for captioning, but it's not important because they're already in the good size. And the tricky part here is you need to go to your model like ChatGPT or Anthropic Claude or Google, and you need to generate a API key. So this process, it's a little bit long and more complicated, but it saves you a lot of time. So yes, I did it. I don't have the instructions for you get an API key. I guess you can Google it and find some tutorials on how to get your own API key if you have a paid account on the ChatGPT OpenAI. So once you run this, it's going to cost you around, for 50 images, it's going to cost you like 40 cents. So it's not that expensive. And after that, you can download it, and it's going to give you a zip file with all your text file correctly named. So it's going to be having 1.txt, 2.txt, and you can use these text files. This is what I did. So instead of doing them by hand, I just use that tool, create them, and after that, I just edit them and add whatever I want. So I'm going to show you an example, like image number 2. I just added this close-up portrait photo. So I just added close-up portrait because I think it's going to be useful if you want to have close-ups. And image 3, it's an extreme close-up, so I added that. And I can show you also the last images where I added, so inside the car at night, dark. So this is the part I added to make sure that the model will have more reference to exactly what's happening in the images that I created. So you can rely on the automatic captioning if you don't want to. In the training part, like I said, you just click on that. So we're going to see that a little bit later, but it's going to be, it can be, also pretty good. So it's a little more, that little touch that you need to add sometimes to have more control over your images. That's nice. All right, so let's get back to our, so we did some captions for all of our AI generated images. Save text file accordingly with the name. So 1txt, 2txt. So I did it automatically, but you can do it by hand, or you can forget this step. And like I said, add specific captions. So I'd add close-up. You can add medium shots. You can add anything you want, concerning style and shot types. And once we have that, we're going to be able to assemble our final data set. So what I did is I took everything from my last folder, step 5, and I just put it there into this final folder with where I have all those pictures, or 49 pictures, and all those 49 text files, and I just select them all, and just like you can compress to zip file like this. But I prefer to use a free tool called WinRare, so you can create a tool and add to archive, and it will also create a zip file for that. So yeah, almost complete. So next step is we're gonna train our model using the generated dataset, so the zip file that we just created. So here it is. This is the page that you would want to use. So this price is not by model because it depends on a lot of factors, but I give you an approximation. So it's going to cost you around $4 depending on the settings that you're going to put. But usually it's like $4, $3 or $4 to create one LoRa. And after that, so what you're going to need to enter here is you're going to need to enter click here and create a new model. And always like to start with the TOK and the name of my character. So TOK Mark 1, that's what I would do. Because I always put the name of my model that I'm going to create with the same name of my trigger word. So I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit later. So put TOK Mark 1 there, because I like to sometimes do multiple models to try different types, and so I will have TOK Mark 1, TOK Mark 2, etc. Just click to have this private. No, because on Replicate you can do public models that other people can use. So you're gonna click here to input your zip file. So all the zip file that we've created, the final data set that we've created. So again, I'm gonna put the trigger word TOK Mark 1. I'm gonna put it in caps. In here in the first part, you can just put it in normal characters because they don't accept caps at this stage. Right? I don't put anything on auto caption. So the auto caption is important if you didn't do the last part. So if your zip file does not contain all the text files, 1.txt, 2.txt, you're gonna have to do the auto caption. So you just click here if you didn't do that part. Leave that alone. And for the steps, I always like to put around 2,000 steps. So more steps, it's more machine times, and sometimes it doesn't. Some people like to do 3,000, 4,000. Usually 2,000 or 3,000 is good. So you can start by using 2,000. It's going to cost you a little bit less. For all the other, there's even advanced input there, but I don't go there. More technical stuff here. Yeah, so basically, let's get back just to make sure. So we did create a new model. We did put the name of our model. We did put our zip file containing all the images. We did our trigger words. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the trigger word later, but it has to be a unique word that you need to create. So this is why I like to always start with TOK steps. That's it. And you just click on create training, and it's going to take probably around 20-30 minutes to do. So just grab a coffee. And so this is the page you're going to see when it's done. So you have two choices here. You have two buttons. One says run training model. We're going to try that a little bit later, but important is you download weights, because this is your physical files for your LoRa. So if you ever want to use another platform that will accept your LoRa files to use them on those platforms, you can always have it here by downloading the weights. So what does the weights look like? So my final step is my LoRa. So I did two, so do some testing. So one I did with 2,000 steps, and one I did with 3,000 steps. was not much of a difference. So yeah, there's two things that you need to do at this point. So I just, download this, click here and download this. So it gave me a .tar file, a compressed file. So, and I rename it with the name of my LoRa that I use. At the same time, what I did is I right click here and I said copy link address. So this is important also because in Replicate you can do sometimes you can use multi LoRa's and you need to have this reference somewhere. So basically I just created a text file here and I just paste, whatever the link is there. So we're going to use this later in other courses. So this is why it's important when you do a LoRa to have this reference. And once you double click on the tar folder, tar file, it's a compressed file. So the important part here is like if you click on output and after that you're going to be in the folder called flux train replicate and you're going to have this file. This is the important file. It's about 170 megabytes. It's called LoRa.SafeTensor. You can rename it. Doesn't matter if you ever put it into another platform, you can rename it. But this is the really important file that you have created. But since everything is in Replicate, you don't have, if you generate images, you don't have to use those references or those those physical files. So you're going to be, maybe you're going to need this reference here. So this is important in Replicate, but if you always stay in Replicate, you just need that. The other part is to have a physical version of your LoRa file, SafeTensor file, if you ever use it in other platforms. All right, so at the end, so we're at this step right now. So we need to test and validate the LoRa model to evaluate its performance. And we're going to do this other course where we're going to create our images with our two characters. So we're going to use our LoRa's to generate our characters. So more detail in more tutorials to come, the other tutorials to come. But yeah, we just did a couple of tests and to see what it looks like. So here is our trigger words in Replicate, this. So the trigger word for this model is stock mark 1. Be sure to include it in your prompt. So how did I get to this page, by the way? I just click on run train model there to go there. But also when you're in Replicate, let me see, you do click on dashboard, and after that you click on models, and you're going to see all our models there. So basically, if you just, like I said, dashboard models, you're going to go back there to TalkMark 2, and you'll be able to access the exact same page like we did. So you can bookmark this page if you want to use, this model a lot. But yeah, and so let's go back here. So you have to put this trigger word there. So I ask a man, TalkMark 1, inside a car, at night, dark, driver seat. So that's it. And I just changed the aspect ratio. So right now we're doing images for our movies, so our scenes. So I just put it back instead of 1.1, like 16 by 9. And I do it with the maximum, so I do 40 by 810 because it's like the ratio for 16:9. You can play around with the, some settings. So the number of outputs, it's obviously the number of images is going to generate at each time. The number of inference step, by default, it's 28. I push it a lot of the time. I push it to around 30, 35. And I don't modify any other, so I just put the PNG. I don't like the WebP, and that's it. So you can generate, and your model, it says, is going to cost you I think it's costing about the same price as generate images. So I don't see any reference for the pricing for that, but usually it's around the same thing. So yeah, more details and more advanced tutorials about how to use it in things like Confi UI or things like that. But yeah, so if you stay in the simple platform of Replicate, like we're going to do in these basic courses, yeah, it's going to be just your model will be in your account, and that will be enough. So it gives you an idea. So like a lot of time you need to generate a lot of pictures. So sometimes I don't like this a little bit plasticky, look, but once you generate a lot of images, sometimes you be able to find some that are more at your taste. And like I said, in the other tutorials, we're going to show you exactly how you can generate with specific camera placement to having our scene done with our character. So yeah, that's it. You have your LoRa, and so I created both LoRas for Mark and both of our characters, Lisa and Mark, and we're going to use these LoRas to generate the images that we need to create our scene. So yeah, it's a pretty long tutorial, so thanks for being here, and so I'm going to see you in the other tutorials. And like I said, everything is going to be in the instruction file, so all the links, you can follow it with your PDF, and it's going to be more simple than trying to find out which every link is. So I'm going to put it into those PDF reference instruction files. So yeah, see you in the other courses.